Robert in Forest Grove, Oregon. Hey, Robert, thanks for listening to Sirius XM. What's up?
Oh, hi, Tom. Thank you for everything you do and how you educate the public.
Thank you.
I'm a retired physician, and I'm calling about the issue of Medicaid rejection. There are 19 states left now that have rejected Medicaid or health care to over 4 million people.
Right.
And, yeah, are you aware of the articles? The research done out of Harvard in the last 4 years shows that Medicaid saves lives.
Yeah, we went.
It shows that, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to say the same numbers, so you go for it, Robert.
Okay. Well, the main article is Opting Out of Medicaid Expansion, the Health and Financial Impacts by Sam Dickman, David Himmelstein, and Steffi Woolhandler. Opting Out of Medicaid Expansion, the Health and Financial Impacts. What they do there, they expand on the numbers from Dr. Benjamin Summers of Harvard. He proved that for every 500,000 people that get Medicaid, it saves 2,840 lives.
Right.
So you can use that ratio to figure out how many people are going to die.
Right.
Now, the importance of this study is that it proves that Medicaid or Obamacare is saving thousands of lives.
Yep.
The flip side of that is that if Medicaid is rejected, thousands of people will die.
And
the reason these articles, yeah.
And already are, if I may, Robert. I've often talked about Charlene Dill. She was a single mother of two, I think, maybe three, down in Florida. She had a congenital heart condition. She required medication to keep her heart rhythm balanced. You probably know, you're a physician. You know more about this than I do. Mm-hmm. And she was working 3 jobs, right? She was literally working like a 16, 18-hour day. And in order to put her kids through school, they were elementary school age kids, but to pay for the rent and the food and the clothing and all that kind of stuff, she was just working her butt off. And because what people don't understand about the Medicaid expansion is, if you don't have a job at all in Florida, if you're flat out broke, then you qualify. If you make less than about $2,000 a year, you actually qualify for Medicaid via the state. But if you make more than that, you can't get on Medicaid, and you can't get on Obamacare until you make, around $16,000, $18,000 a year, something like that. And so Charlene Dill was not making enough to qualify for Obamacare, and she was making too much to qualify for the Florida-based Medicaid. And because Rick Scott, Republican Rick Scott, the guy whose company was convicted of the largest Medicare fraud in the history of the United States, and who spent $74 million getting himself elected governor of the state, because he refused to expand Medicaid in that state, Charlene Dill was taking half her medication because it's all she could afford. And one day she had a heart attack and died. And it wouldn't have happened had she been taking the appropriate dose of medication. And he's got her blood on his hands. And he's not the only one. I'd say every Republican in the Florida legislature, and it's not just Florida, it's these other 19 states that you're identifying, that where Republican governors and or Republican legislatures are saying no. And now you've got in Kentucky, they've got a new Republican governor who wants to dial back. Kentucky had arguably one of the most successful Medicaid expansions in the country with Kinect. So anyhow, back to you, Robert.
Well, the reason these studies are important is that the Republicans, if you ask Republicans, you're harming people, people are dying, they all have the same response. They say they can go to the emergency room. That's right. What they say. They can go to the emergency room. Well, there's 2 big problems with that argument. One, 95% of your care is done in the office, not in the emergency room. And number 2, these studies compare states that have Medicaid with states that don't. The variable in that study is the Medicaid. Right. All states have emergency rooms.
Right.
But these studies by Benjamin Summers and Dr. Himmelstein and Dr. Woolhandler prove that it's the states that don't have Medicaid, the people are dying.
Right. And Charlene Dill could not have walked into an ER and said, I can't afford my medication. Would you please give me some? They would say no.
Exactly. And see, it's actually a lot worse than just the deaths, because like 9% of the population is diabetic. So you have thousands of people in those 19 states that are walking around with high blood sugars, that is damaging their eyes and their kidneys and aren't getting insulin.
Right. And producing neuropathy and all sorts of other things. Yep. Robert, thank you so much for the call. Excellent point. Thank you. And thanks for listening to Sirius XM.
You're listening.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.